Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now the final day of November. It's November 30th. We are now entering December, which is going to be a very important month because it's basically going to be the build-up for the Bad Batch Season 2 and marketing for that show begins. They've been very absent on marketing this series, and it really has left a lot of fans wondering what's really going on with that show, as well as Mando Season 3 as well. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing that Favreau and Filoni have been up to for the past number of months is that they have been finding ways to regulate Star Wars legends, mixing together with the already established Star Wars canon, and exactly how that's all going to work hand in hand with, of course, the new Star Wars universe. Now, given that Favreau has been making a lot of important calls lately, and when I mean calls, I mean decisions, and really making things very tough on a lot of Lucasfilm employees out there, because this is something that they have to work for, something that they have to stay loyal to and stay passionate about, and it's why we have discussed this before, that Jon Favreau has been getting new crew members to work on his upcoming projects. So Lucasfilm is expanding with the cast, and not just the cast, but also the crew, dividing up into more and more different teams, per se. Now, moving on to the next big thing here of what recently happened not so long ago, we'll tap into everything here, has a lot to do with Jon Favreau actually firing one of the main Star Wars writers, a part of Star Wars as a whole, or just Lucasfilm as a whole, whatever have you. Now, Kathleen Kennedy, she is in charge of the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. However, who's taking care of those shows? No other than Leslie Headland. Now, with both Disney and Lucasfilm getting ready to make some big announcements at Celebration and D23 next year, both Jon and Dave are also working on some very special projects for the Star Wars fandom. Now, it's noted that one of the big changes that Favreau recently made was by getting rid of a specific creator from Lucasfilm projects that he is developing. Part of the initial plan by Kathleen Kennedy, that was a part of the plan 2 years ago, was for writer Leslie Headland of the Acolyte series to become a part of multiple Star Wars shows, all the way from 2023 until 26. Those slots have now been emptied out for Leslie Headland by Jon Favreau, making that call and firing her and letting her go as a main writer for the upcoming Star Wars shows like Mando 4, Star Wars Mandalore, and the second season of Ahsoka as prime examples, and more to arrive as well. Now, Leslie Headland was originally set to act as a co-writer for those stories, and has now officially been let go from said projects after Jon Favreau has been disappointed with the direction of the Acolyte, and, of course, does not endorse Kathleen Kennedy's idea for that series, even though he tried to make some fixes. So, if you guys are out of the loop, Jon and even Dave stepped in for the Acolyte to fix the script here and there. There was a time about 2 months ago where this was all happening, and they left midway through because of the toxic environment that they were involved in. It was a very toxic environment by Kennedy, really having a lot of creative differences and complaints and arguments. You don't want to be a part of that, and I don't blame them for that. I really do not blame them at all. Nobody wants to be in a toxic environment anywhere. Not in the workplace, not at home, not anywhere, alright? So Jon and Dave made the right call by exiting that, very stress-induced environment. And now what they're focusing on is, really developing and building up that Mandoverse properly. Now, the thing about Leslie Headland that I don't like, alright, it's nothing personal, but what I don't like about her is how she said that she's not a Star Wars fan, that she's never really watched the Star Wars movies, she never felt the need to. She looked into the prequels here and there and wasn't feeling them, and that was it. I think that at minimum, maybe you should check out the originals, or watch the originals from start to finish and not just check out tidbits. I don't understand why Kennedy tends to get these types of creators. It seems to be a common trend. Joby Harold, another prime example, very near similar. He himself said that he never watched Revenge of the Sith from start to finish, and yet the Kenobi series serves as a sequel to that movie. It's mind-boggling. So, moving on to the next thing here that's absolutely important about this recent development is that, of course, Leslie Headland was attempting to bring in her own agendas to those shows that she was tentatively signed on for, and Favreau was not liking any of that at all, and decided to make the ultimate call by getting the okay from Disney higher-ups a couple of weeks ago. This was before Bob Iger came in, for permission to let her go from all other projects related to the Star Wars brand. A very similar thing recently happened with Joby Harold, from not being allowed to become a part of the Kenobi Season 2 project, which, by the way, is now being served as a soft reboot. And we talked about that already too, of how Kenobi Season 2 is not going to be called Season 2, it's going to have a brand new title. It could very well be, you know, Kenobi, A Jedi Returns, or A Jedi's Quest, or something like that. And it will not reference Season 1 events, but in canon, it's going to still take place after Season 1, if that makes sense. That's kind of like what a soft reboot tends to do. So, with Leslie Headland now out for all projects from 23 until 26, it looks like there's not going to be an Acolyte Season 2. It looks like there's not going to be a Skeleton Crew Season 2, which, by the way, Kathleen Kennedy wanted to do with Leslie Headland. That was X'd out. It's looking like Acolyte and Skeleton are both one-off shows. And what I mean by one-off shows is that they're only going to have one season and will be treated strictly as a limited series. And you know what? I mean, we're seeing this more and more common in the film industry and for the TV industry, that there's a lot of shows that come out that are intended to be limited shows, and then when they do superb, they actually turn into a multi-season project. The same exact thing happened with, I believe, it's Showtime's Your Honor series. That was a limited show, did fantastically well. Now it has a Season 2. Same thing is happening with Kenobi, except they're refining it and not calling it a Season 2, but they're just gonna call it a different title and continuing that story, but not referencing what happened in Season 1 to kind of just erase that past, right? Not necessarily erasing it literally in history, but just not really putting it out there or referencing anything to kind of just make fans forget and move on. Now, I think Leslie Headland, you know, could have had potential if maybe she invested her time in Star Wars, or maybe if she was a true Star Wars fan, or if she maybe had her own thoughts on certain projects, instead of just, you know, accepting whatever Kathleen Kennedy wanted her to do, because she doesn't know what Star Wars is all about anyway. So of course Leslie's gonna do whatever Kathleen tells her to do, right? To this, of course, to Leslie, this was just an opportunity to kind of like put her own project out there and get some, you know, attention, I guess, or some kind of, you know, level of status on becoming a writer that was involved in Star Wars, right? Even though she's not a Star Wars fan. So that's the thing that bothers me. But I think that Favreau made the excellent choice here, because so far the Acolyte is looking like maybe less than a 50-50 chance at succeeding. So that's just my take. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.